Hello, everyone. Welcome. And today I'm going to be talking about Obscure. And Obscure is a found footage inspired horror TTRPG by Sons of Not Games. Now, I'm going to be focused on the setup that I've done in Fantasy Grounds Unity and a couple caveats as you watch this. One, at the time of recording this video, that the Obscure module is not available on Fantasy Grounds. I created this. I'd like to talk to Tommy of Sons of Not Games and see if we can find a way to release it, whether it's free or paid on the Fantasy Grounds Forge. But right now, I'm just showing you more of what's possible and how I've set this up. And I'm also I probably won't walk through it a lot, but I'm trying to set this up for a solo game. So I've also included some of the solo dark rules from Shadow Dark, not in the module itself for Obscure, but in my setup. So I'll go through that. So without further ado, the last thing I would say is please support your independent gamers and, or should say, independent authors, game creators like Sons of Not Games, and go to their website. I've purchased the full package of Obscure, including the dice, physical book, and PDF, which was $45. So I would encourage you to go and support Tommy and buy the whole setup. So let me switch views here quickly. I'm going to close my monitor's web browser and let's dive in. So I'm currently in Fantasy Grounds Unity. So I'm just going to explore a little bit and show you when you load the module. If I do release this, I have the core game module listed here. Then I've also got a supplement. This is not yet released, but should be very soon, which is Alone in the Dark bundle, which is Solo Dark, Shadow Dark. And I actually think those rules will work really well to allow me to play Obscure. So when I do play a game, I'm going to be using this. So this is the module. These are all of the different sections that you'll see, including pre-generated characters. So let's dive in. I'm going to open the book itself, Obscure. And I'll flip through this so you can kind of see that I tried to do this as carefully as I could. Right now, I've only included and loaded up one of the four scenarios, but let's start and just kind of flip through. So you've got your cover image, obviously. You're not going to be able to read this great, and there could still be some typos where I need to clean, not typos, but like some words that have a hyphen on them that I need to clean up, and I'll do that later. You've got your forward from the director of the Blair Witch Project. You've got your credits like you do in the actual physical game. You've got the images. I'll scroll through those pretty quickly about the game, and then you get into the rules and the rule section here. So energy points, anxiety points, including the image of the anxiety man. And I did do a full walkthrough, so you can, I'll try to link to that maybe as a card here and also in the description on YouTube. And again, I'll clean some of this up. I want to pop these examples out maybe into a better text to make them more visible. But you've got your combat, flashbacks, still image of some things, character creation. I'm going to ask Tommy again if I do release this, but I took a little liberties. I started with the character creation discussion, and then in the actual book, right after this comes the pre-gens, but I included the equipment, and I do have the examples called out here. And you've got your devices and gear, you've got your weapons and all of those types of things. You've got your equipment image, character death. And I did put them in Fantasy Ground races. I'll show you on the character sheet. But when you die, if you die, then you can basically continue the game as either a helpful or a evil spirit. And I thought this would be a good way to track, because you can only, if you do die, you have 3 actions you can do throughout the rest of the game. And I thought it'd be cool to show those as options so that you can unlock this record and check these off once you've used those actions, so you know which actions you've used. So that's why I did it as a race. More on that in a bit. So then I have a pre-made character. So I created I just uploaded the image and the brief description of each character. And then I also input those as classes, and just, I guess, more So if you want to use the class, you can drag it in that way. But I also created each one of these as a pre-gen. And you've got your campaign rules, forest image, observer tools, panic attack suggestions. You've got all your tables linked down here. And I guess I can show you some of those now, but literally, if you wanted to roll on these tables, you can open up that table, you can roll on it. I rolled a 1, so it says the gun misfires. So all of these are rollable tables. And let me see what else I have here. Images, asylum images. Then you've got your scenario. So I'll flip through this relatively quickly, but you've got all your rooms. And I do want to show the map, and I'll put a character on the map so you can see how this could play. But you've got your map that's in the book, and this is basically the observer or GM image because it shows everything. And then you've got, as you flip through here, I've got the sections and all the text on each room. And then there is at the end, truths, end game, clues, found footage. So what I want to do is pop up into the pre-generated characters, and it is in the modules. So if you open the book Obscure, and if you go to pre-made characters, it's actually in the modules section. You go to Obscure, you can click on that pre-generated characters. And so I've included all of these. I also included some templates. I'll only include one of them if I do release this, but let's just grab a couple. I don't know which ones. We'll grab Suzanne J. Williams and Chad Michaels, because that reminds me of Bret Michaels from Poison. So let's do those two. And maybe just in case we need the template, we'll add the template. So then when you go into characters, you'll see these here, and then we can still add their images. I did that, but I think I still need, because of how it works when you export. So let me remember, this is the delivery guy. So let me get his portrait, because I want to get these in the right way, and then I'll give you a walkthrough of this. And I think it's in data. I think it's in my data. Sorry, I'd like to get the right images if I can. There we go. So this is the delivery guy, who is also, if I click on this, Urban Explorer. I think that's what I need to find. Sorry, there's a lot of others in here that we don't need. So we'll click on Urban Explorer, and then we will add, just for grins, we may not use both of these, but just to show you. So that's the unemployed nurse, Suzanne Williams, and she is anxious nurse. That's right. So let's add her portrait. And I'll have to figure out if I have to do something different to make sure those export correctly before I send out these pre-gens. Come on. Here's the anxious nurse. Click on that. All right. So let's move those two into the combat tracker just so we have them there. Those, hopefully most of you know Fantasy Grounds, but some of you may not if you're just here about Obscure. But this shows the combat tracker. I'm going to clear chat a few times just to make sure this is clean. But you can see now you've got your name description. You hover over this. And again, those of you that are familiar with creating in Fantasy Grounds, I went in, since the author of X-Core, which is what I built this on, the rule set, or the rule, the rule set creator, I went in and updated the XML so that instead of health, this now says energy loss. And you can see on these character sheets, this is done in the XML. So if you create a new character, then you should see these descriptions. And even like dice modifiers, I updated this, conditions, flashbacks. This actually, I have updated this since then. And I've called this flashbacks, I think clues, and found footage. So you can drop those links there as you find information. I think that's what it says now. So anyway, we'll leave that there. So let's walk through. I'm going to close one of these so it's not confusing. Let's walk through this. So what do you have here? You have the name. I called this job because it was too much to call occupation. It just didn't fit. But I've included these as classes over here. So you can see delivery guy. If I click on that, you're going to get an image, and you get the bullet points from the PDF of the game or the book of the game. It tells you a little bit about yourself and your agenda. So you can always click in to this link And you can see that. And if you want to see a bigger image, then you can kind of look at your Urban Explorer guy there. And that's the same as your token. I think that's all I did there. Yeah, I didn't put anything else in here. I did include spirit. So right now you click on that, there's nothing there. But if you die, I included those as races. So again, you have an evil spirit and a helpful spirit. And I'll show you for now. So here's the evil spirit. So again, these will be unchecked, but if I drag that onto the character sheet, I'll have to look at why that's throwing an error. I'll have to ask. Yeah, I'm not sure why. I don't think it's affecting anything. It should still work fine. But if I click on this now, and again, if I decided, hey, I appeared out of thin air and pushed a character, I can tick that off, close it. And then if I want to remember whether or not I've used it, now that's showing as it's ticked off. So I thought that'd be a cool way to show spirit after you die. So again, energy, and this is not a calculation. Anxiety, those are going to be your anxiety points. Energy lost is going to be like wounds, but I wanted to have like a maximum energy, so I knew if I healed what I got back to. So you have energy, energy loss, size, reach, and speed. That's just standard in, not obscure, but in how Xcore sets up a character sheet. So I didn't change that. There isn't really a stat called defense in obscure, but you do roll against, if you're in combat, you're rolling against the target's energy. So I set this up. If you click on this cog, this equals calculation equals get health minus get wounds. And I know this says energy loss, but I think the underlying XML is still knows this as get wounds. So what I did is I tied those together so that if your energy goes down, let's just for a second, actually, I wonder if I need to change that. Yeah, I might need to change that because I don't know if it's gonna, if I'm injured, I don't know if it's gonna pick the right. Let's just put a couple of energy losses in there. Oh, it does. Excellent. Yeah, it's minus get health minus get wounds. Okay, I did do that right. So all I'm trying to do here is make sure that this defense is updated because I did create roles that are going to roll against this defense. So if we go into combat tracker and heal that up, you always have to make sure that you're hitting the cog to kind of refresh your whole character sheet, but then you see the defense goes back to 9. Energy dice and anxiety dice. So in obscure, you have the ability to literally tap in and lose energy to add energy dice to your roll. So if you were to do that, you would just control scroll up and say, hey, I'm going to add 2 energy dice to this and anxiety dice I'll talk about in a second. But if you do that, that'll affect your roll. So we'll show that in a minute. Anxiety dice, that again, if you do get any anxiety points because the observer is handing those out to you, then you can track anxiety up here. And then whenever you roll, and I didn't automate this, but let's just say you have 2 anxiety points and I can control a mouse wheel up and just leave that there. So I know these 2 should always be together. It's really simple, but then that will affect your rolls that we'll go through in a minute. Conditions, these you would just add. I don't think they come into play too much in one shots, but you might. So you could just click on + sign and add a condition just as a note. Now flashbacks, I believe you get up to 3. I think you roll a D3 in character creation. So I did not do this. So you'd probably want to roll that and then control left wheel, scroll up. That here are the number of flashbacks. If you use them, you can double click on them. You can see that'll go down to 0. And then also as you find clues, found footage, maybe we'll show that if I have a few minutes at the end of this video to show you how I set up the scenario, the first scenario. Then you can drag these in here as you find clues, just as rather than put them in notes. I thought it might be helpful. There's not much to the character sheets. So I thought it'd be better just to put it on the main tab. All right, weapons and gear. So I've preloaded this with all of the inventory that this pregen gets. So I think I put it in this class. No, maybe I didn't, but it was in, if you go back and look at the book, do that quickly. And if I go to pre-made characters and I go to, who is it? The Urban Explorer. So there's Chad Michaels, and you can see over here, he's got energy points of 9, energy points of 9. His phobia is aging or old people. What I did with that is I put that in the notes. Phobia, aging or old people. You got that there. and then equipment, digital camera. And you do have an inventory tab here, but I wanted most of those to be rolls. So I just included them in weapons gear. So you've got digital camera, rope, hunter's knife, handgun, bag of chips, energy drink. So that's everything, right? So you go down here and you can see, if I remember right, the digital camera, I think everything starts with either 1d6 for the most part, ammunition and or 1d6 of what am I trying to say? Photographs or pictures. So I might again need to clean this up a little bit, but I think you'll have to, like if you have a pistol here, I should have put in a tracker, but you could track that here. I do. Okay, there's the ammo. That's right. So theoretically, what you would do, like for the digital camera, I did include a roll here, so I could double click on that roll and say, okay, he has 3 max photos, or he can use this 3 times. So let's pump that up to 3. Rope doesn't really have any roll. Hunter's knife does have attack rolls. So before we do that, let's roll for the hand pistol. So again, I think that's typically 1d6. I might not have put that in there, but let's roll a d6, 2. So you can say, hey, that has a clip of two bullets, and include that there. And then you're kind of set with your starting gear. All right, so how did I do damage? Let's clear this out, and I'll show you this in a minute. In fact, let's drag an NPC in. Right now, I only have the NPCs. Sorry, you'll get, let me go to Obscure. So these are the ones I set up for the child scenario. Let's just pull in Ghost. So I'm just going to left click, drag, and drop that into the combat tracker. You can see I don't have an image yet. I might create a token image for the Ghost, but for now, it's just putting in a letter token based on the first letter of the NPC. So you can see there, they have their stats already. Energy and defense are already in there here as 6. So let's put that over here just so you can see. So I've got energy. I haven't changed anything else in here. I did make that defense, and I did create energy dice. I'm not sure if you can do that as like if the observer can decide to use energy dice for the NPCs, but I put it there just in case. Life drain, this is the attack that this ghost can do. And I put it as ghost. This is actually, I don't remember which one this is, but, and then you also have actions. Like if for some reason you need to do actions, you can do that here. And I'll show you why I did 2 of these rolls. Let's go back to the character here. You'll see under weapons gear, let's look at the hunter's knife and see why do we have 2. So I'm going to close this out. So this might help some of you. You may not want all of this, but so there's a possibility that you will have just a normal attack or roll, and you might have advantage. And a normal attack roll in Obscure, or a normal just action roll where you're trying to roll against a target number, is 2d6. So I have this as damage DR 2d6 plus any energy dice you're using. And this is coded to where it's going to look at this field up here. So it's going to look at that number of D6, keep KH1, keep the highest one, plus any anxiety dice that you have to use. And if you have any anxiety, then you have to, for now, let's put that back to 0, but you have to use those dice, and you're going to keep the lowest one. And the hunter's knife is +2, so I have a +2. So this is your normal attack, which is the first button here. And this is an attack with advantage. So for whatever reason, I don't know why you'd have advantage. Maybe you surprise the ghost. I don't know. But then in that case, you would roll 3d6, keep highest 2. Now, the way combat works in Obscure is if you roll above the target level, then the damage done will be equal to your roll minus their energy. So the way this is all coded is when it says DR, it is looking at this 6 field here. Sorry, this 6 field here. So if you're above, it will automatically reduce this by the difference between your roll and this energy, which is great. Now, on the flip side, if you roll below your target, then you actually take damage. You'll have to do that manually, and we can show that quickly. And then if you're the same, then it's kind of no harm, no foul. You both swung and missed kind of thing. So let's do this. Let's pick up Chad Michaels. I'm going to control left click and target the ghost, and I'll show you a map, but for now, we don't need to do that. I'll just show you how this works. So let's go into the Hunter's Knife, and I'm going to say this is a normal attack. For now, we'll say he has no energy dice, no anxiety dice. So let's double click. Hopefully this works. 2d6, so that's a 7 plus 2 for the knife. So that's a 9, right? So there's a 9. And you can see his energy was 6. So now it's 9 minus 6 is a 3 energy loss. So now if I open this ghost again, the one thing I just realized that I'll have to do on the fly during the game, which is okay, is I can control, actually, I might have to unlock this. Or maybe I can, let me test this out. See if I can change this. Yeah, I'm going to control left click and drop that down to a 3. And then I think if I rolled that one more time, let's clear that out. And if I just roll a normal attack, it's a 5. And a 5 plus 2 is a 7. 7 minus 3 is 4, and that's going to be above. So he's dead, basically. He's lost energy more than his or her energy. Awesome. So let's put that back to 0. And so the ghost is refreshed. But now let's do, I don't want to do advantage yet, but I'm going to say, look, I'm going to use 2 energy points. I really want to make this attack work. So I want to use 2 energy dice. So by doing that, again, this isn't automated, but it's real simple. Then you would say, okay, let's just toggle 2 energy loss because I'm going to use 2 energy in order to increase my chance to hit. And you can see that reflected up here. All right, so now let's do the same Hunter's attack, and you should see the standard 2d6, plus you should see 2 energy dice, but only 1 will be used for the calculation. So if this all works, let's see. Okay, so there are the 4 dice. So you can see the first 2 are my standard energy attack, or my standard attack, which is a 4. And then I rolled a 2 and a 3, but keep the highest one. So I kept a 3. So that's 3 plus 4 is plus 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7, plus 2 for the Hunter's Knife is 9. 9 against his 6 is a 9. Oh, sorry, I left this at 3. So 9 less the 3 target is going to be 6, but that should have been a 6. But that all worked. Awesome. All right, clear that out. Let's do one more. And this time we're going to say we still have the energy dice. We'll just say that we'll leave that. We put that back up to 6. We're going to say we'll say 2 anxiety dice. So how anxiety dice work is I can't code the critical fail basically, but if you roll a 1 on any of your anxiety dice, so we'll just say he has 2 anxiety, so he has to roll 2 anxiety dice every time. So we'll just leave this here. But if you roll a 1 on either of those, then you panic, and you'd have to go into the panic rules. So let's see, if it rolls a 1, then we would have to adjudicate that manually. But let's just roll an attack again. So then you can see you rolled 6 dice. So let's just walk through that. So a 5 and a 3, that's 8. 1 and a 4 for my energy dice. So you're going to keep the 4. So now you're 8 and you're up to 12. So in this case, you rolled a 3 and a 1. So this is showing a 15. But because I rolled a 1 on one of my anxiety dice, he panics. So immediately something happens. And you can go to the panic table to figure that out. But let's just assume a 1's not a panic, and that was a 2. So you can see this all worked. An 8 plus 4 is 12. You still do get the ability to use the lowest of your anxiety unless it's a 1. So in this case, again, you've got 13, 14, 15. 15 against a 6 is 9. So that all worked. I love it. So that's awesome. So that's how all of these will work. And then if you roll with advantage, we'll just show that quickly. So in this case, let's just get rid of our anxiety dice. Let's say there's no energy dice anymore. So these are all fine. We'll say he has no anxiety. And we will roll the second. So this one says attack. This says attack ADV. So we double click on that. Now it's rolling 3. You drop the lowest one. So this is an 8 plus 2 still for the Hunter's Knife. This is a 10. So a 10 less 6 is 4. That's all working as intended. So awesome. All right. Last thing here I'll show is you have the same thing on just straight up actions. So if you're trying to like run, I don't know, jump across two buildings or something, then you would roll on action. The observer would set what the DR is, the difficulty rating. See, so I don't really have that coded, but you do. So if you roll it straight up, you're going to roll an effort roll. And in that case, it's a 2. That's pretty bad. But again, you can use energy dice. So let's say you use 3 for whatever reason. You're jumping across, a 10-story building and you can't afford to fall and die. And so let's do that. And let's roll here. So in that case, it rolled 5 dice. And it's only going to keep the highest one of those effort dice. So you rolled your standard 2. And then you rolled 3, but your highest one of your 3 energy dice was a 6. So it only took the 6. So, and then the advantage works the same way. I don't need to show that again. So that's it. You got your inventory here, a little bit of notes. If you want to keep track of things here, you can do that. But that's the character. So, and then again, you saw the ghost. Let's see. I don't know that I've tested this yet, so bear with me. But let's go down to the ghost. Let's say the ghost targets Chad Michaels, and the ghost has an attack of a life drain, and then also an advantage attack, just in case. So I'm not going to assume the ghost uses energy dice. I'm not sure if that's possible, but at least this will allow me to do that. So let's double click, and Chad Michaels' energy is a 9. So let's double click on attack, and that's an 8. And in this case, I don't know. Yeah, he had a +3. That's right. His life drain does a +3. So that's an 11 less 9 is 2. That's all automated. It's working just great. Awesome. All right. Enough of those. So let's show you I'm going to show you what I've done with the map. So this is the first scenario, and I try not to get into it too much because I obviously copied and pasted all the info, but I still want to be a little surprised if I run this solo. So I'm going to click on the hall, which is the first entry here. So as you look at this, you're like, oh, that's not very exciting. You see all the rooms. You may not have the descriptions, but let's pull in Chad Michaels to the top here. All right, so now he's in here. He's in the beginning. And if I click on Vision Preview, now you can see that he can't see everything. And he can't go through here. And why is that? Let's just read this quickly. So you enter through a heavy metal door, and I guess I'm spoiling this a bit. I apologize, but as you reach the end of the stairs, so you just come down here, the door slams shut. So now as an observer, I could give out an anxiety point. And maybe if I have claustrophobia or some other fear that now I'm locked in, maybe you get 2 anxiety points. So you don't have to, but you could. And then so it is pitch black, so I'd need to figure out, and I'll make sure I deal with lighting. Like right now, it is. I don't think I have the vision, I have line of sight, but I don't think I have vision yet, or this would be completely dark. So I'll figure out the lighting and add that to this as well. And the reason I can see through this is I locked this and created a window because it's basically a barred gate, so I can see through it, but I can't go through it at this point. So otherwise, everything you can see, I have a couple doors now, and yeah, and then he could, go from there, which is pretty cool. Let me uncheck this, and then as you get through each room is a pin that has all the information I need. I don't want to spend a lot of time on those because I don't want to spoil it for myself. All right. And what else do I want to show here? So I showed the pins. I showed I do want to unlock this and show you. So I have different layers in here. So like, again, here's the lighting. I turn on the lighting and click on my character and the player vision preview. It's going to be dark. There's a little bit of fog of war that, hey, he saw that before, but without giving him lighting, it'll be dark. So let's just not worry about this for now. But I do have a GM layer in here. So if I did this right and I scroll over, and if I click on that GM layer, you now see all of the information, like a little more clarity on what's in here. I just wanted to experience it as just a player, so I left that off in case I really need to look at it in game. All right, that's about Let's go. The only other things I wanted to show maybe are if I go into the book and if I go back for a minute to the child, so it tells a little bit about an intro that I can read to myself. Here's the map. And then again, each of the different items rooms, it does have a description of like the boss monster in here. And I do have that as an encounter. So if I do fight the child, the monster here, I can click on that. And if I add to the tracker, it's going to add it up here. So I add to the tracker and then it goes in there. I've got stats build out, the truth. So you might learn about that. And again, I don't want to spoil that too much. And then clues and found footage. So the way I did this, that's the last thing I'll show. Let me get out of the map. Let me open Chad Michaels again. And if I go into, I think I put it as items, but give me a minute. I may not have. Let's look. What did I put it as of? Parcels, roles. I wonder if I didn't do that yet and I still need to. I was pretty sure I included clues, but maybe I didn't unless they're uncategorized for now. No. All right. So if I haven't done this yet, I swear I did, but if I haven't done this yet, I'm going to create clues as items in the same for found footage, because let's just say this is one of the clues and I will just drag and drop it in. Where did the flashbacks come from? Is that a role? I think it was a role. Sorry, I'm getting off topic here. The child, there we go. So I did do it as a role and it's under the child section in roles. And then if I drag and drop the clue in here, now I can go back and read to myself what that clue is. So I was like, gosh, I know I do that. Okay. So the last thing I'll end on is, and you'll see this as I do the games. I won't waste too much time. But if you again look at the two modules, this is the Alone in the Dark. So I'm going to use the Alone in the Shadow Dark Oracle, which is really simple. This has got a lot of other adventures in here and such. But I'm going to use the Oracle in here to roll when I need to. And this, I like the way Shadow Dark does it because you're going to roll I think it's a D20 and make an Oracle check. And by doing that, what happens is you roll a D20 on the Oracle table and it is modified by the odds. So like if it's something I think is unlikely or really challenging, I can roll with disadvantage. So I'll roll 2d20 and then take the lowest result. At least I think that's how it would be. I think the higher results are typically better. Let me look at this. Yeah, the higher. So success would be 11 to 20. Okay. So, and if it's an even chance, you just roll it standard. And if you think it's likely or really certain, you could roll with advantage. And if you get a twist, something unexpected happens, you can roll on prompts. So it'll give you just a couple of words, a verb and a noun that might help you figure out what happens. And then if it's a 1, it's a critical fail, basically. And if it's a 20, it's a critical success. So I'll show that off. But I'm pretty excited about using that. And I think it's going to work well. So that's all I've got. I'm pretty darn excited. Let me go back to the credits here to run a game. And I don't know if I'll get a chance to today or tomorrow. I've got some things going on, but if I can, I'm going to try to run through that child scenario using the Alone in the Dark rules. And I'm going to talk to Tommy, see if he has any interest in allowing me to either put the rules out for free, or maybe I can have him get a quick agreement with Smiteworks and we can release it on the Forge with, some fees so that he can get something out of it from a monetary standpoint, which I'd love to get to him. So that's it. I hope you like this. If you do, drop a like, drop a comment if you have any questions, and I'll see you around the Fantasy Grounds forums. Thanks all.